Thank you very much. So we'll jump right into the session that deals with water innovation and smart water management. My name is Oded Distel, and I'm the director of the Investment Promotion Center, Invest in Israel, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Labor. And we are also the organization that is leading Israel NEWTech, a national program dealing with water and renewable energy technologies. And I would like to introduce my distinguished colleague from the panel, Mr. Girish Nadkarni, Managing Director of ABB Technology Ventures. Girish?
Good afternoon. Some of you may know ABB is a large multinational. We are in a whole range of industries and utilities, so our corporate venture group invests in early stage companies which have technologies or business models of strategic interest to us. And we invest globally, and I guess one of the reasons I'm here is because I've invested in 2 Israeli companies and I'm on their boards. And one of them happens to be in the water business. And if people think the Israelis are argumentative and have opinions, they have no opinions.
So we'll elaborate a little bit on this one in a few minutes. And Zeev Efrat, the CEO of Aquarius. Zeev, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Efrat. I'm CEO, as I said, of Aquarius Spectrum, a small startup company in Israel dealing with leak detection, which I will explain later on. Prior to that, I ran a few startups and ran Sullivan office in Israel for a few years. So we'll elaborate more on the startup industry in the water section.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, 2008 was a very important year in the history of mankind. And it's not only because Madonna and Guy Ritchie broke up. More important than that, 2008 was the first year that the majority of the population on the earth moved to big cities or to cities. So we crossed the point of 50% living in cities in 2008, and this trend only continues and grows. And it's quite obvious that the future belongs to big cities, and hopefully we're going to manage it in the right way, because at the moment this trend creates a huge burden over the infrastructure of big cities, which is again also a great opportunity. Now let me ask you this. What do you see as in common between London, Dublin, and Hong Kong? So 3 very nice cities, all you find good English speakers, but more than that, all those 3 cities uses 30% of their water in the water system through leaks in the system. If you check the situation in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, it's 50%. And the same story in many other cities all over the world, not to mention issues of wastewater. So again, this creates a very big opportunity, a very big challenge that involves different models, business models. It involves technology, investors, regulations, policy, pricing, etc., etc. And with this, I would like to ask Girish, what is the policy of ABB in this regard, and what are the options and the opportunities that they are looking for?
Okay. Water is a huge space. And as I think Mark Twain said it once, whiskey is for drinking, water is for fighting. And if you look at some of the writings, there's a lot of information out there that says that the largest amount of growth is happening in places where there is the least amount of water. And so in the next few years, there will be a lot of wars potentially over water. So we see a lot of opportunity in water. So what are the various opportunities? And some of the things we have heard, not even thought of as being water opportunities. So for example, hydropower is a water opportunity. Marine energy, whether it's tidal or whether it's wave energy, is also a water opportunity. So we have two investments in Scotland, one in tidal energy and one in wave energy. Then there is a whole desalination space, that's again a water opportunity. There is this whole area around waste, converting waste to energy. So whether it's waste heat recapture or whether it's just leveraging the waste sludge motion into energy, etc. There's a tremendous amount of energy harvesting going on in the space, in the water space. Then there is the whole area of membranes. And finally, one of the areas where we've invested in is what Oded referred to earlier is the majority of the utilities out there use anywhere from 25 to 50% of their water every day from their pipes. So London, for example, loses close to 40% of its water every day. They lose more water in a day than most cities actually use in a year. And that has a significant impact from the point of view of lost revenue, from the point of view of energy use to move the water around, from the perspective of repairs and other things. So we have invested in a company in Israel called Aquarius, which has a phenomenal program to sort of detect these leaks. So to answer your question a little bit in the wrong ways, ADT has a wide range of interests in the water space, whether it's utility network monitoring, whether it's desalination, whether it's energy harvesting, whether it's marine energy. I think water is an area where people have underestimated how many opportunities there are.
Thank you. And with that, I would like to ask you, Zeev. Basically, you are sitting here and you have a very large hat on your head. You are both the CEO of Aquarius, but you're also kind of representing the Israeli water sector in terms of the startups and the industry. So please give us very briefly what is Aquarius all about, and then please tell us what are your future plans.
The guys in the back room can put the presentation on. So I will not speak about the need, why we need leak detection, because that has already spoken about finance. Just to give you a glance, we are financed through the incubator programs in Israel. We actually belong to Clean Work Ventures, which is now called by Hashim Water. This has a crucial point in how to grow a company in this area in Israel, and it's very, very supported by the scientist office, the Ministry of Commerce, etc., and to actually make it grow for us. Now, what is leak detection? Practically, the guy there, that's leak detection. Now, it's not very interesting. People are doing it day by day. They're trying to acoustically find leaks. The problem with that is that it's not accurate, very difficult, and very, very not on time. It's surveys. What we do is actually we try to put into the space a fixed network of leak detection that will actually act all the time, all over the system. So think about the water network the same way you're trying to think about a communication network. And then you actually have leak detectors that are there all the time, on one hand, and mobile leak detectors, which are actually smartphones for the utility people. So altogether, they have the ability to really control and understand the network. Because practically today, they don't have any control about their network. They just, when it happens, they go and fix it. And when it happens, they actually try to look for it. What we're trying to move is from, let's say, a general idea where the leaks are to really pinpoint exactly where the leaks are. And I'm speaking about on the between 3 meters accuracy. So utilities are able to plan their work, to understand what they're going to do, and to really put all that leak detection and leak fixing in a phase, in the planning, in the work plan. Because today it's actually an emergency work in most cases. Taking that I won't go into the details of the technicalities, but practically moving the leak detection actually as part of the smart city, so enabler to both have all the smart city programs that are around us, all the smart city thinking and monitoring, etc. We use leak detection as well as part of the solution. With this, I would like to move it well and just say that practically that's the bottom line that moves around all the smart city ideas, where all the investments are as well going to be in a few years, in those years, and this is the reason we are here for them. So I would like to take it out of you, and please go with the questions.
Thank you. I think so. We agree from both sides that there is a very big opportunity. One thing. Second thing is that municipalities, government, politicians have a very important role. And I would like to ask, how do you see their role in setting up the policy in the way that they would be able or would allow for new technologies to enter? But just a small story before I come to get your answer. Recently I visited India, and we had a very interesting visit to one of the medium-sized companies, medium-sized cities in India, and we had a very interesting discussion there about pricing. And they charge about 8 cents per cubic meter from the citizen. But the municipality supply water only about 3 days a week. Rest of the time, the citizens would fill tankers that they have on the roof, but this doesn't last too much. And then private tankers enter into the picture and supply water when needed. Now guess what? The price per cubic meter from a private tanker is $5.50. So 8 cents, 5.5. There is a huge gap, which of course is a great opportunity, but somebody has to get in and bridge it. Girish, please.
You know, you raise a very interesting question and also a very difficult one, because on the one hand you have the problem of significant water shortage issues globally. But one of the single biggest reasons why it's very difficult to solve a number of these problems is because of the mispricing of water almost in every country. Almost nowhere is water priced economically. And as a result of which, it just doesn't make any economic sense for most municipalities or companies, etc., to do anything about all the waste, etc. So one of the first things municipalities can do, and I understand it's more a political question than an economic question, is to slowly start pricing water in a more economic way, because otherwise people have absolutely no incentive to turn off those taps or worry about how they're treating the water. The other thing is, most of you have heard about the smart grid and smart meters being put in homes for measuring energy, electricity, etc. But we also need something very similar in the area of water. So for example, in the UK, barely 20% of the homes have meters, which means that most of them, 80%, are really billed based upon an estimate. So it could be high, it could be low, it could be way off. So what you really need is some level of mandates, just like they have done in the case of electricity, to have smart metering all over, all the municipalities, etc., to make sure that you actually measure. Because if you don't measure what's happening, you really don't know whether you're doing well or not doing well. And then finally, that would then lead to, from the analytics as to how people are using water, at what time of the day using water, where the pressures are, where then you can set up the communications information. So one of the very exciting things happening in water today is the marriage of IT and communications to water. So smart grids are being set up in the water pipelines to sort of detect where the leaks are, and then they can actually do a great job predicting leaks based upon what kind of activity is happening in a certain place, what kind of neighborhood, what kind of time of the day, so you can actually go and prevent the leaks either from happening or from them becoming bigger. So some very interesting stuff happening. So, but for something like that to work, the networks or the utilities have to be broken down into district metering areas, and they have to have some level of sensory, etc. So to come back to your question, what can municipalities do? is basically A, make sure that the water is priced economically, and B, start putting in smart meters and district metering, etc.
But do you see that the trend is for governments, municipalities to move ahead to price water accordingly?
We do see a trend towards putting in smart meters and district metering, etc. We are not unfortunately seeing necessarily a trend towards the pricing part, because that's again a very political issue. And in fact, in some cases where they even put meters, as a result of which the prices went up, because they were obviously mispricing it, they had to reduce the price and remove the meters because people were very upset with that. So these are sort of difficult economic and political issues. But unfortunately, if you don't address them today, all you're really doing is kicking the can down the road, because it just becomes a bigger crisis tomorrow.
Yeah, I think this point is clearly understood, and I think we can all agree that at the end of the day, somebody has to tackle this issue, the sooner the better. Zeev, would you like to elaborate a little bit about the roles?
I will talk about that from the startup perspective. The startup perspective, normally startup wants to build a system, sell it, make profits, and grow up. So the problem is with startups in this area, we don't sell to the end user. We sell to utility. Which even if you make it very good for your utility, it doesn't reflect on the end user price. So there's no pressure from actually the end user to make it happen. That puts the government actually in the situation that if the government is not there in the middle and putting that, if it's leak detection or waste management, etc., and all the startups that are around water and wastewater, the government is not stepping in and initiating projects and building up regulations that actually put the utilities in a situation that if they are not going to do those, they are going to be fined, etc., there is no chance that the startup will grow. Because we don't sell to the end user, so none of you here can reflect or can affect our good ideas. It's all in the hands of the utilities. And this is an issue because it's very difficult to sell to utilities. Utilities in general, they don't want to do anything. There are cost-plus organizations all around the world. So here we are actually to try to bring the VC, the environment and community to understand that, help us and help pressure on the utilities.
Good. Thank you, Zeev. Girish, I'll get back to you, and I would like a little bit to hear your perspective regarding your investment in Israel. And actually, last week I called Girish in order to discuss the issues of this panel. And I thought he was in Switzerland, or maybe he already came to New York. He said, no, I'm in Tel Aviv. We have a board meeting of Akaduf. So I got him in Tel Aviv. So can you elaborate a little bit about the cultural issues, and don't be shy to say how does it work? How it work with Israel?
ABB is a large global company, and we are in about 100 plus countries, and we are local in every country. And just to let you know, give you a sense of it, we sold our first transformer in China over 100 years ago. So our CEO didn't read about China in Business Week 15 years ago and said, let's go there. So we've been in India over 60 years, so we have a pretty large presence internationally. And we also have corporate development centers, research centers like GE and Lockheed and Intel, etc. in the US, in Switzerland, in Scandinavia, in China, India, etc. But the one place we really didn't have was Israel. And as I've dug under so what the reason is, the answer is very easy, is setting up a research center in China and China and India makes a lot more sense, because not only do you have smart people working at much lower rates, but you also have a large local market. So when you sort of indigenize the product and make local products, you have a natural large market, and unfortunately Israel does not have that. And so that was one of the challenges I faced when I was trying to push the concept of Israel. But then, as we started looking at early stage companies, we realized that there's a lot more talent there and a lot more technology there than we sort of realized. And so we started looking, we went out there, met with all the VC firms, looked at lots of companies, we invested in a couple. And in fact, just last month, we had a Israel Innovation Day at ABB in Zurich, where we looked at over 100 companies and invited 25 of them to come and present to our management and all our businesses. And so basically, it was almost like a trade fair, we worked with the Israeli Council, etc. on that. And so we are increasingly becoming aware of some of the technology in there. Now recognize that we are not in the software business, we're not Intel, we're not Microsoft, we're not Cisco, so our business is much more industrial. But nonetheless, the industrial business is also becoming more and more digital and more software driven, so we're looking at these things. The challenges, besides the lack of a large domestic market, and I think some people have pointed out, there is a tendency to sort of think because you're smart engineers, you can solve the problems. And by the way, this is not just an Israeli problem, this is also a Silicon Valley problem. I have sort of dealt with people in Silicon Valley where they think because they're smart engineers, they can solve problems in healthcare or problems in robotics, etc. I'm sorry, you can't. You have to understand the domain, you have to understand the pain points of the customers, you have to go talk to them, meet with them, and really understand what's happening. A good idea is a good starting point, but if you don't get the feedback from the customer base, and by the way, if they are not making the right decisions, that doesn't make them stupid, that just makes them a customer. And I always like to say, business would be a lot more easy if you didn't have to deal with customers. But unfortunately, we are there. So sort of very smart, but have to go out and travel and meet customers, understand what the issues are, etc. Board meetings are always entertaining, lots of arguments.
You're saying the dialogue between Indians and Israelis is very vivid?
Well, it's mostly between the Israelis. I just sit on the side and watch. But, I mean, they can argue and they can get each other's throats, and 5 minutes later they're sharing a drink and nobody holds a grudge, and it's very refreshing. So things come out, get put on the table, but you have to, if you're not been exposed to that part of the world, it can be a little shocking initially, but at the beginning, yes.
And what would be your advice to the Israeli startups? How should they approach large multinationals or VCs?
You know, I mean, I just build on what was said in the earlier panel. When early stage companies come to us, you have to do your homework and understand what business we are in. And you have to come to us and say, listen, we understand ABB does this, we understand this is the marketplace, and here is where we fit in, and here is where we think we can add value. And maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, maybe you sort of are slightly off the target. But at least you have to know what business we are in, and what segments we serve, and what technologies we use. And we understand that from the outside you might not get it perfectly right. But at least you have made the effort to do that, and then if we like what we see, we can help you think through, okay, so we can sort of readjust and recalibrate. But don't come there as a solution in search of a problem. Because that's, we look at almost 600 to 1,000 companies a year, and to grab our attention and spend that extra moment, you have to make sure that you understand what we're doing.
Thank you. And Zeev, I would like to ask you from the perspective of the startup company, how does it look dealing with the VC industry, especially the global?
In the water section.
In the water section.
Let's say in the last year and a half or 2 years, I think it's quite dry. We're dealing with water, but the cash flow is dry. And it's very difficult to raise money into startups in the area of water utilities, in all the water section. I think it's some of it will change, but most of it we need, that's one of the things we are trying to do in Israel, is to bring in a lot of initiatives which are semi-financed by government initiatives. Carbon credit initiatives, water utilities initiatives, sewage initiatives. Those are, let's say, putting some oil into the industry, and then the VCs are ready to come in. Because the business model, the beginning, is very difficult. It takes a few years until a company is already running and we can take it to the next stage. For example, we are running with two big initiatives in Israel. Only when we will be able to finish them, I think we are ready for installations outside. And it's a different perspective. It's not an installation that after a year you can go up. It's not just software. It's a lot of technology, sort of hardware, and etc. And it hurts that we see in this field. I think what we need to do is we need to do work to make the VCs work together with the government and actually step in with the government on initiatives, and then everybody will be able to feel comfortable and safe. Because each of them by themselves, the utilities to make decisions by themselves is very difficult.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I get signs from the organizer. Yes. Just few sentences to conclude. One, I think we just started touching an extremely important sector that is definitely going to occupy the world agenda in the years to come, for all the good reasons that we've mentioned and many others. Second, I want to take this opportunity and to invite everybody to Israel at the end of October for a very large conference that's going to take place there called NEWTech, that includes also an investment conference where we're going to elaborate on those issues and many others. For those of you who haven't visited Israel yet, it's a great opportunity. You'll be able to see all the companies like Aquarius, and many more. So this is one thing. And second, just to thank very much Girish and Zeev. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.